जो उबरा सो डूब गया, जो डूबा सो पार. Entrepreneurship is a journey like that.
And I strongly feel businesses are not B2B or B2C, they're H to H.
Oh, very beautiful.
It's human to human.
It's the first time we have somebody who's stronger and smarter than us, and we have got to compete.
Far too long we've sort of set ourselves in a certain box and certain ways of doing things where how we do it was more important than the why and the intent behind it.
If your focus is to kill a competitor, right, you are in the wrong direction, my buddy.
Yeah.
Right, your focus should be what is your vision.
How do you see the nature of the very word job would change or evolve, especially with a lot of newer generation coming into play? And how do you think India will respond to this whole piece? Will we adopt from West, or we will create our own version of what a job means in India?
So you can win by becoming a good mousetrap or a great destination. Choice is yours.
On the Humanscope today, we have someone who I've been wanting to get on this show when we were even conceptualizing this. I have Pankaj Bansal, who's not just an entrepreneur, but is an investor, guide, one of the veteran legends in our industry, if I was to put it. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Humanscope by People Matters, and lovely to have you join us.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. And thank you, Pushkar, for getting me and for those kind words. I'm going to record this for sure myself. I'll share with my friend. See, he's in August company, he's putting me in, but delighted to be here and always available for People Matters.
So I want our viewers to know a bit about your early journey, because I know on the PeopleStrong journey and now some of the stuff that you're doing will get there. People know you. But when you started PeopleStrong, and I think a journey before that, if you could sort of just describe that for everyone so that, you know, everyone would know what made you take that bet on the industry of HR. I think that will be lovely for our viewers to know.
So Pushkar, I think my life is in public domain, most of it, the professional life, but I think the entrepreneurial bug was there, but HR was not classified as an industry.
Yeah.
So it used to hurt me and pain me. Shelly, who was my co-founder, we both used to travel and see people never acknowledged our industry as an industry. They said HR means placement companies, HR means small companies, HR means training outfits. It doesn't mean large companies. When we went to US, we saw listed companies. We used to check the revenue. It used to be equal to Reliance Industries in India. And we were shocked. We said, how can the companies be as big as Reliance Industries in US, which are HR companies? And that's what we realized, that someone will have to take that back. And Sanjeev was a shining example. You know, there is a possibility and opportunity, but Sanjeev always said that I'm not an HR company.
Yeah.
He said, I'm on the job side, I'm .com side, I'm going to create. So we said, is there a possibility to build this category? And, I think when you're naive, ignorance is bliss, Pushkar. So we didn't know what all it will take to build what we were aspiring to do. We said, we'll build an HR conglomerate. We'll build assessments when an employee comes in. Mm-hmm. We'll do recruiting when the recruiting process takes on. Then we'll take over the whole HR. So we said, we'll do everything under the sun. It was not the most wisest decision, but probably those were the beautiful days. That's how the journey began. And that was one phase of life. And second was the personal, which was very hard. My sister wasn't married, and generally in India, if that task is yet to be done, it takes a lot. I have a son who was young at that time. My wife doesn't work at that time. Dad was almost retiring. So not that everything was hunky-dory. That was on the personal side. And third, there were enough friends who were giving me push-ups that go ahead, Pankaj, you can do it. So I think it's a combination of the three: that desire to create an HR as an industry, getting that acknowledgement, getting over these personal stigmas that because the financial situation is not the best, so you can't do it. And third was having the friends and foolishness that you can do it. So I think the combination of the three made me do what I did.
Wow. Now in hindsight, when you look back, do you think that naiveness or not knowing everything actually gets the best start to entrepreneurs?
So,
Or you would actually prefer a more planned way, because now you're also an investor into so many of them, you backed so many of them. What would you prefer?
So Pushkar, Amir Khusro said, "Jo ubra so doob gaya, jo dooba so par." Entrepreneurship is a journey like that. I will never advise to anyone or myself that we were completely unprepared. Before I started, I had a business plan, right? A complete business plan. But was that enough? No. Was the business plan the best? The answer is no. So I would never recommend anyone just to have an idea and jump.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have a real plan, whatever your wisdom is. And secondly, I had the team in place. Yes. I had partners with me. I never jumped all by myself. I still doubt that I had the kind of resilience that came because of the partners around me.
Yeah.
So I think it's the resilience that plays the key role in an entrepreneur's life. So I think my two advice or suggestions to everyone will be, have a good business plan, have a partner. And I'm not saying that solo founders are not the best. They also do very well. But I'm telling you my vantage point that these two things help me. And if you tell me to do it all over again, I will still do it the same way.
Wow. I think that talks volumes about, how you would have enjoyed the journey as well of building. And of course, each entrepreneur has those deep highs and very deep lows.
Correct.
The challenges, they happen on the same day.
Yeah.
You have a great high in the morning, and by the evening, there's something that is totally torn apart, and you're in your deep low. All happening on the one single day actually leads into a lot of thinking that one has to go through. Were there some of these moments in your early journey which you recall saying that, maybe now you might even laugh at them, but at that time it made so much of a difference?
So I think I can distinctly recall three of them.
Okay.
One was when we ran out of cash, right? And in PeopleStrong journey, we never delayed the salary in the history till date, right? 20 years almost. Never delayed anything. So at that time, we ran out of cash. It was 30th June and we had no cash in the bank. So we all, the top team, got together and we said, we'll do a party at Shelley's home. And we all got together. We said, if the money hits the bank tonight or tomorrow, it's fine. If it doesn't, then we'll figure out something. But today we can't just let go, because we will remember this day. We had a great party. We were nervous, but we were enjoying. And next day morning, the money came.
Wow.
So I will always remember that was a beautiful surrender. And that's the power of surrender I have witnessed. And not that we were not talking to investors. We kept calling them. It was unique. I'm not getting into details. But that one thing increased my surrender for my life. So there is a larger, higher power that drives things. You are not the doer. That's what I understood that day. Second event was when my previous partner, we almost divorced, business partner. And that was very painful because our base of our relationship was not money. It was spiritual connect. And somehow we just grew apart from each other. So that was very painful. And I realized when you part, no matter how deep you are connected, you end up doing stupid things. So I stood wiser post that event. But when I go back, probably there was no other way I could have done it. So it was very painful. It left me high and dry for a year. Financially, whatever I had learned, I felt very let down. I felt that I shouldn't do partnerships. So I was in that zone. So that was second part. But again, it brought the best out of me. And I'll tell you why I say that. And third was when I lost Shelley to cancer. It was the lowest point of my journey. But at the same time, all these three episodes made me as an individual stronger.
What I love about your journey, Pankaj, especially on the PeopleStrong part, you sort of took that plunge from there when it was at its high and is still growing. But knowing, now someone else can sort of take that forward and I need to move on to the next mission is also very hard. Do you feel that, Avis?
So I feel the biggest problem with Indian entrepreneurs is they think they are best at 0 to 1, they're best at 1 to 10, and they're best at 10 to 100. 5%, 10% may be right, but I'm not a great fan of that. I'm not going to name companies, but when I see them, the same founders for 50 years, how will the new thinking, new energy will come into a setup, right? I'm not saying everyone should do, but I'm telling you, it wasn't easy to leave the company that you have created, right? Yeah. Very, very hard. Investors don't want to do that. Your teams don't want that to happen. There is a comfort zone. But I realized that 0 to 1, 1 to 10 is okay. But 10 to 100, I can take it midway, but not to the end.
Category creation is so hard. I know in our People Matters journey, Esther, me, many of our team members, in fact, to the extent that when you and the angels in HR front, I actually call you guys angels because you guys believed in us 2011. And that first check came in from HR fund. Honestly, it's post that we felt, no, this is actually a serious business. Before that, it was the mission of Esther and driving things and building. But post that, we felt that, no, this can actually be scaled. We can do this at a large scale. But there was no category. There was nothing like this available. The stuff that we do on Tech HR, there was no conference like that in India. So it took a lot of effort to even pave way for something like that. I'm sure that was the case on PeopleStrong's journey as well.
So exactly, when we thought of category, first when we raised capital on paper, in 2005, no one used to fund HR companies.
Yeah.
We were almost the first company. Angels came. When we started HR fund, the idea was to get top 6, 7, 8 leaders to put in money and help HR companies. That was category building. To acquire VBox and build what we built was an category building work. All my life, I think, has been that I'm still at it. I'm candidly telling you, only thing I have transitioned is I have moved from HR to jobs, which is related. But I said, I will focus more on jobs because Bharat's needs or India's need today is jobs. But otherwise, I'm a category builder. That's what I enjoy doing. So will you see me in 10 to 100 journeys? Probably at the end, cheerleader. When somebody is ringing the bell, I'm clapping. Probably you'll see me there. When exits happen, I stand at the corner and enjoy. But you will see me 0 to 1 on the front foot where people say this can't happen. On 1 to 0 having leaders, and 10 to 100 I'm at the back. So that's my journey. That's what I want to do.
So I'll now sort of move a little forward on the PeopleStrong journey, and then of course I would love to come to Caret Capital and the stuff that you're doing over there. Do you think category creation puts you onto disadvantage because you are actually creating an ecosystem, but it happens at a slower pace?
A big yes. Whenever you're doing category building, you end up spending double of the money than others, right? You take the brunt of the hard winds that come your way, right? So I remember I walked into a meeting and I said, we are building a cloud. So somebody said, and a very prominent company, and they said, what will happen during the rains? And this is the real thing. So my CTO was with me, Vishal, and Vishal looked at me. And then when we walked out, he said, no, we are not building this because people are asking rain and cloud. So he said, Pankaj, what is happening? So I just tell him not to get disheartened. I said, it was not the problem of that person. It's just the people are not aware what's happening. And thankfully, IBM and Microsoft started advertising about cloud. That's how. So this was the situation when he got in. But those 2 years we spent money. At People Matters events at Tech HR, I said, okay, we will give a newspaper ad. We gave a newspaper ad. We put all that drama. But it all costed money. And it gave us results, but not the amount of results our competitors would have got who could stood on our shoulders. When they came in, they looked at our codes. They said, what are the things that can be improved? They started building from there. So they had an advantage and nothing wrong in it. Again, I'm saying when you build the category, you'll have to be okay with it. Then it's up to us how agile we are. Then you again do. So it's a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle. If you know how to stand tall, you can make it virtuous. If you get stuck, you'll make it vicious. So I think this is what I will say. But it is a creator's curse. But it's okay. We all should do it. And that's the only way.
When was the most joy you felt in the PeopleStrong journey? Like those moments, if you reflect back saying that, you know what, this is where I felt joy as part of the journey.
See, for instance, we were in trouble financially, and, we got a meeting with Mr. Mukesh Ambani, and he gave us business at Reliance. We designed their whole HR shared services. I remember Shelly and I used to go. It was such a pleasurable thing to realizing that, we can create impact like this, right? It was very beautiful. Secondly, when Prime Minister's office called and they said that we need help on few areas, I can't tell you which areas due to confidential reasons. But when we did, no one ever got to know what we did. But it was such a beautiful thing to see that fructifying and creating a thing at a national importance level. So those were two moments that I remember. And third is when I saw my team, the idea that you elucidated that, they paid off their loans, they bought homes. It was so nice to see that teams are doing well.
Yeah.
So those were the 3 moments. But above all, if I will say, we have done some about, if not more, 50 spiritual retreats amongst 10 of us, the leaders, and some larger teams. I think those were most special moments. In Tulsidas ji in Ramcharitmanas says that Raghupati Naam Apara. Right? So I think I was never taught that the power of meditation, power of chanting, power of going inside. The world that I lived in was always talking of valuations, returns. I saw companies becoming unicorns by taking $1 million at $1 billion valuation and rest of the money at 500 million. Such an unfair practice. But people do all that because they are trying to play the game. But I'm so glad that we never got into that circuit because of this spiritual element. So the highest point for me in PeopleStrong journey is to be connected with the leaders at that level. And that's why I challenge people and I ask them, do you have a list for the people you can die for? And if that list ends with your family members, you're not a great leader. Increase that list. And you'll be surprised that if your list runs into 20, 30, 100, you'll be amazed that you will find others also ready to die for you. I think I witnessed and experienced it in my PeopleStrong journey. And that's the only way I know, right? So I recommend people that, trust and die for others. You don't have to really die, I'm telling you. But have that intent, magic will happen, is all I can tell you. We have survived. They were magical moments. I cannot justify logically why we survived.
I think it's a lot to do with the human to human connect. That's the way I put it. And I strongly feel businesses are not B2B or B2C, they're H to H.
Oh, very beautiful.
It's human to human.
Very well said.
And over the years, my faith in that has increased more. As more technology comes in, automation comes in, some of the jargons that we use in the industry, they come in, sit on top. I feel it's more H to H. And in an entrepreneurship journey, I personally have seen that it's the humans who have sort of trusted in you, helped you, supported you, stood by you, that has made a huge difference. Of course, brands have their own play. Brands would evolve, but it's the human to human connect is where I feel the difference is.
Bang on, absolutely. If you look at Pushkar, Pakistan and India, we got freedom almost on the same time, same day, a day difference. They had 23 prime ministers, we have 14. Right, and see the difference it has made. That's the power of leadership. That's the power of connect. I love this example of human to human. If your focus is to kill a competitor, right, you are in the wrong direction, my buddy. Right, your focus should be what is your vision. You can't be just out to kill someone. Okay, you can play around, but I think that's the mistake entrepreneurs do. That's the mistake competitors do. Even if you succeed after that, what that success is for. Right? It's like those kings who killed everyone else and then they won. And then when they left, they said, okay, keep my hands out so that the world knows that I'm not carrying anything. Even Alexander did that. So I think we should all remember it's a beautiful place. Fight with norms. In India, when you go and fight, they put a tilak on your head, which is red color. It means passion. But after that, they put white akshat, chawal on it. It is to remind you that there is a sattva. Fight righteously. Right? But I think that is what is worrying me. The corporate norms, this righteousness is going off the table. H to H, as you say, is no more fashionable. People are trying to just win at the cost of H to H. But that's not how life is built. So I hope the world will come back to its roots, is all I can say.
I think the more stuff like Gen AI is coming in, I think people will get reminded of H to H more. Unfortunately, it's taking some of the tech and change in environment for us to realize the H to H. But I think that's what differentiates. And I won't name them in the industry. There are two of the largest brands who make money in the HR industry. One brand is a great monopoly. The other brand is just good people to work with. And I'm seeing a very different experience and very different approach from both these brands. Who is right or wrong, I don't know, Pankaj.
Correct.
on the stock market and valuation, it might be very different. But when, let's say, 50 years down the line, someone looks back and sees, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to partner? My choice would be people who are good to work with, because business will keep on happening, evolving. It's the people at the end of it that will matter.
So you can win by becoming a good mousetrap or a great destination. Choice is yours.
Yeah.
I think I would any day pick a great destination than a best mousetrap. Mousetrap may give you money, mousetrap may give you fame, but in long run, it is the destination that you all set out for. So don't build mousetraps. If you remember Microsoft, at one point of time, no one liked Microsoft because they used to almost raid the company, this licensing system. It was complex. Look at how they transformed, and O365. People love Microsoft today.
Yes.
It's the same Microsoft, the avatar we didn't like, and we called them monopoly. And the new avatar we see, they beat, their heart beats for customer.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how we should build corporations. You will do mistakes. All customers, all employees, all investors will never be happy with you. You can never do that, right? But a large part of them should say you were never unethical. You stood for right things. You did your best. If they say that, by and large, you will do well in life, is my take.
Yeah, I would so agree with that piece, Do you think as part of this journey, entrepreneurs open up, are okay to be vulnerable, or they are, inside their case, trying to fight different battles? Has that changed over time? Are entrepreneurs okay to be vulnerable today?
So, there is a saying called khidmat che azmat, which means service is honor. So when entrepreneurs operate from this lens, that I'm here to serve, right? I'm not here to lead, but I'm leading so that I can serve. I find them very, very authentic, open up their vulnerabilities, share, discuss. I have cried in front of my teams, right? It becomes very nice. When people become very tight and they think their individuality is my name, my gender, my country, my company, then it's a false identity. We come from Bharat. Our ancient roots tell us that our true identity is not this name, not this body. Our true identity is something very deep. It's not what I'm watching, but what is watching me is my real identity. And that Atman, people don't relate to it. So when they get trapped into this false ego, and I've seen some of the best founders, big people, you meet them, you can just feel that tightness, right? Very stiff. And that leads to so much of, they unheal themselves. It's a bad emotional journey that they go through, vis-a-vis the other part. Now, when I meet the new breed of entrepreneurs, I find them more this side where they are comfortable, they are opening up to their vulnerabilities. They are talking about them. But I'm not saying all, but I'm saying many of them are doing it. So the only thread that we can teach to our kids and to new breed of entrepreneurs is probably the path to self. I think that's my take, that come what may, whatever you're doing, our responsibilities, show them that light and they will catch on to it. You cannot, of course, you have to talk of ROI, you have to talk on the returns, but that's not the only thing we need to share. Share this side of the light and life will be very beautiful. I've seen youngsters responding to it very well. Everything doesn't require a pill. Sometimes you have to just sit quietly and heal yourself. You don't need to pop pills. So this is where it is, but it's hard, Pushkar. It's hard for people to open up their, I remember I came, things were great and we got out of a bad phase. And I walked in, my colleagues, they were Sheesh and Shelly. They got me in the room and they said, we don't like you. I said, why? We've done so well. I've been like a star on the road. They said, this word that you used, you've been a star. It seems that you are the only star. And they said, this egoistic Pankaj we don't like. And that night I didn't sleep. This was 2010 or so. We had raised capital. Everything was going well. And they said, we don't like this Pankaj. We know you for years, but you've been like a friend. And suddenly you've just jumped onto this pedestal, trying to become someone that you are not. So we don't like it. So I consider myself so lucky that I've surrounded myself with people who can punch me with love, with authenticity. So surround yourself with people like them. After that, you can't hold your vulnerabilities. They will know before you.
Yeah.
And I remember there were moments when I was down, before I knew, they came and they said, don't worry, buddy, we'll come out of it. So that's the power of people around you.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
The second part will only happen if you are able to digest the first feedback that one gets. In the People Matters journey, it has happened with me when so many of my team members came and gave me feedback. I was a very difficult person to work with because I would go for perfection. मतलब ब्रांड के गाइडलाइंस में और ब्रांड के लोगों में अगर 2% का भी डिफरेंस है, it used to bother me. But that was stalling innovation on what we could do on things. Even on running business as well, I was like, if it has to happen, it has to happen at any cost. That any cost is not a great term to use because, it could mean different for different people at different situations. And my feedback scores, so we were all Hogan assessed, and we used to look at personalities, and it was so dark. It has taken me so many years to even come out of that phase, but I think if you don't have people who will say that, I'll still give him that feedback. How you take it is, of course, that's a different journey. We can talk about it later, but you need those people to show that mirror to you, saying that, Pushkar, you're not a great person. This is not the best version of yourself. Can you try to change? I think that has really helped me in my journey personally.
So Pushkar, good is not an enemy of great. Most founders don't realize this. You are not the only person who did this mistake. We all have done, right? We are perfectionists, but it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Perfectionism is a disease, right? I'm not saying in every part. There are product designs where you can't go wrong, but I'm saying in general, life is very hard if you're a perfectionist. So with that philosophy, we moved on. But my take here is that वो एक गालिब ने कहा है, उनके देखे से जो आ जाती है मुंह पे रौनक, वो समझते हैं कि बीमार का हाल अच्छा है. It means not that you're always well, but it's just that you have the right people around you, start smiling.
Absolutely.
So when you draw your energy with people around you, why can't you do the same thing in customers? I remember very hard meeting with customers sometimes, and you can be yourself, natural self. Eventually goodness will prevail. Either you will know what you did wrong, or they will know that where they were unreasonable. But generally, you will find that middle ground where you can go without. And I still find myself indebted to my customers. I don't know why. People keep telling me the business world. But if a customer which I met like 15 years ago, I still feel as indebted as I would ever. I think that's what founders are. Because I remember at that time he gave me or she gave me business when no one else was.
I agree.
Right? So that gratitude, that connect, makes life beautiful in this cutthroat world, in this cutthroat competition. So I think that's how life is, and we should live it like that.
Do you think the vocabulary around doing business should change? I think we have a lot of vocabulary around that. We need to penetrate the market. We need to go to the war zone. We need to cut our competition down. So the whole business world is filled with vocab like that. And there is a parallel vocabulary which I feel has a lot of value, which comes from the space of trust and love and commitment, saying that the serving part that you were talking about, that I'm here to serve. I'm here to sort of put myself out over there with authenticity, and I'll make sure that it will attract, rather than me going and making sure that I will brainwash you on the stuff that I want to sell you.
So, Pushkar, very beautiful question. So let me answer it in 2-3 minutes, right? First part is, मैं आपको एक statement, I'm going to just say a statement, right? आपके बच्चे की तबीयत नासाज है तो उसे कुछ hot drink दे दीजिए. मैंने तबीयत और नासाज उर्दू वर्ड्स हैं, हॉट ड्रिंक इंग्लिश वर्ड है, बाकी हिंदी चल रहा है. तो देन लैंग्वेज क्या है? तो मैं जावेद अख्तर को सुन रहा था, एंड ही सेड लैंग्वेज इज नॉट वोकैबुलरी, लैंग्वेज इज सिंटैक्स, ग्रामर. Correct? I used multiple words, it didn't change, you still understood what I meant to say. So the only thing is syntax. Why I'm explaining this when you ask vocabulary. Similarly, in our lives and in corporate world, our syntax is everything, and we are focusing too much on vocabulary, and that's why vocabulary is taking over, like war zones, do it, EBITDA, returns, MOIC. I come from the investor world. I kept asking, what is this MOIC? So now what I'm realizing, the new world that is coming, I go and I have more than 25 organizations that I have worked with as investor or as board member. I have written something called OPO, one-page organization, where I force them what language you will use. Right? What is your why? I think I have in my life done a mistake of not focusing too much of why early on. I used to focus a lot on what, right? What I'm supposed to do, what is my purpose, etc., etc. I rarely used to ask a question, why? Right? So when I moved to why, this bad vocabulary or a very transactional vocabulary dropped and the new meaning emerged. Have you ever seen a company where you see passion, integrity in their values, right? 70% of the companies have same value charts, right? Behavior charts, copy paste. But you will never see the word love.
Yeah.
You will never see a sign of love because it is seen, oh, how can you write like this and work? Why not?
Yeah.
I have so many people I just don't get it. Why it is that? So when you see the newer generation that is coming up, their vocab, I find it much better. It's all right. So I think more than vocabulary, it's our syntax, the way we operate. We are no more email people. We are quick, cool to answer. We are not taking too many formalities to write things.
Yeah.
The age boundaries are being crossed over. So it is a wonderful part to move away from the traditional thinking to a modern, new age, informal yet connected. People wear sports shoes with suits. It was a crime in my time. Right? People used to make fun. But now I see best of the best doing it. Why? Because comfort is being given preference over just fashion.
Yes.
So this is how the new world is looking like. This change we will see, and I welcome this change.
Yeah. I welcome it with both arms. I think far too long we've sort of set ourselves in a certain box and certain ways of doing things where how we do it was more important than the why and the intent behind it. And I 100% agree on the why. I still remember a session that you had done for People Matters on the core mantle and the crust of the business and why the core is so important.
Correct.
And that has remained with me over the years. We've in fact done some of those exercises a couple of times later. And every time the result is very interesting to go through. Yeah. So, Pankaj, moving forward, now as an investor, now you're interacting with so many founders and, you would be reflecting back on your own days, looking at now comparing how the founder ecosystem has also evolved. Talk us a bit about what has changed, what you feel was the nature of entrepreneurship, let's say about a couple of decades back to what it is today. And what is the change in the category of founders and their mindset that you experience now when you interact with them?
Oh, this is a great learning and experience, and I deal with most of the founders in 0 to 1 and 1 to 10, not 10 to 100. I'm an early stage venture capitalist who invest less than $2 million in a company or around $2 million in a company. So my biggest learning that is coming is that probably in 3 buckets. One bucket is that there is suddenly focus on sustainability. I never used this word before. In the sense, every entrepreneur that I meet is talking of how their business is going to help the larger sustainability piece, the environment piece, etc. I never used to hear this till about 5 years ago. Suddenly, sustainability is at the center. So I would say entrepreneurs are far more conscious than they ever before. So suddenly they are thinking beyond themselves. So that's one big welcome change that I see. Second is now the capital is chasing. Earlier, the entrepreneurs were chasing capital. The first time, probably, capital is chasing ideas. So there is no dearth of capital. So I've got to make sure that I get the best category builder at the right time. It has made my job harder, but we have solved it by becoming a thematic fund. So we said very clearly, we have 2 goals of our fund other than the IRR that I have to return. We said that first, we will create 10 million jobs for India. Government's target is 100 million. We'll create 10 million in next 8 to 10 years. Secondly, we said we will help Bharat reduces 10 million metric ton carbon reduction. Right? These 2 things. We said we will remain true to it. Every month we track this data. Now, by doing this, I have automatically started attracting the best of category builders in these segments to us. So mobility, jobs, and supply chain. All 3 are connected. You need a vehicle, which can drive, you need a person who will drive it, and you need some stuff to move around. So all these three, we believe, can create maximum number of jobs, have deeper impact on reducing the carbon emissions. So that's how we have done. Now we are automatically getting the best of the founders to this. So this is my second part that we are trying to address, but it's hard. It's not an easy thing. Third is the 0 to 1 journey is almost different, but yet so similar for every entrepreneur. I can, with my closed eyes, tell you the 25 workshops, one day that I would have done for different companies. They include companies like a Quorum, which is a club, or a company like Masters Union, which is creating waves in education, or Sunstone, which is like a mass MBA, or a company like PeopleStrong, which was an HR tech leader, or a VBox, which was in assessments, or a People Matters, which is in media. My list just goes on, or a design company like Lotus, which was in designing. So my list, when I did, and every time I walked out, I realized that everyone feels they are different. They are different, but yet their journey is so similar. So these are the three things I'm seeing. But what is uniting or unifying the three, Pushkar, is probably one thing, which is tech and AI. Now, there is no business which doesn't have a product. The most services-oriented company also have a product embedded in their service. So that differentiation between service and product is just diminishing and going nowhere. That's what I see.
Do you think services companies will have a very hard time going forward if they don't have a product strategy in place?
So as I said, no services company will exist in future in a services avatar. Right? They will exist in some other avatar, but not in a services avatar. So I'll tell you what companies will be seen as services companies. Companies who are helping products to grow and to sustain will be the new services companies. Not somebody who's providing people and doing stuff like that, right? Or process. Because every process will be done by your agentic AI. Whether we like it or not, why will you deploy people when something can be done by an agentic AI? It's like sewage cleaning. There were people who were doing it. Now you have robotics, you have systems, you have sewage systems which can do it. Why would you put people to do that drudgery? The new modern human drudgery is to ask people to do data entry. The human drudgery is to tell people to run processes XYZ, because all this can be done by agentic solutions. So that's why this transfer will happen. And still services companies, new avatar will exist, but by supporting the products that are making customers succeed. That's the new world.
Do you think companies need to own their own products, or partnerships can also work great in that? Because not everyone comes with the skill and the capability of building great products. And I've seen a lot of companies making that mistake as well, saying that, you know what, we are a services company, or the founders have a good services mindset, and you need that mindset as well, because at the end of it, you need to service the community. But maybe we're not great at making great tech products.
So let's look at Apple. Right? Apple owns a private garden, and we all love it. Right? People who can afford buy from that garden, but Apple is not ready to go beyond a point. They keep it as closed as they can. Right? That's the world they live, and they're successful. So I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying there is a one company exists. Now let's come to India. I get to work with government, and we are building open gardens. What does that mean? We are calling it digital public infrastructure. Look at Aadhaar. I'm a great fan of Nandan Nilekani, and when I met him in some other context, and we were both chatting, and he was helping me how to think. I was in the part of NEET committee, which got leaked, etc., etc. How to think big, how to think clean. And the more I speak to him, I realize that open gardens is the future. So I gave you only one example, UPI or Aadhaar, but let me tell you, Karmyogi Bharat, which is government's initiative. We are trying to build a DPI for learning. Pushkar, we are telling that you across the world open up the Karmyogi Bharat platform and let countries pick up from that learning. What is it doing? It is taking the base of Karmyogi Bharat, which has 8 million government offices on the platform. It's the largest platform anywhere in the world today. And flat in 1 year, this 80 lakh, I'm very sure we'll cross 1 crore, which is 100 million people, government officers on this platform very soon. Now, whatever success we have created, we would like to be the Vishwa Bandhu, right? That's the objective that India has. Again, it's category building. We are not thinking very, very myopically. We are saying if the world will become a better place, it will help India.
Yeah.
So why can't we do that? Now, all we are doing is we are taking this whole platform and saying, okay, 10 countries, you can take it. Because no one has implemented a capacity building project of this scale anywhere in the world. We have 2.8 crore government officers or 3 crore. Out of that, 80 lakh have come on platform. Imagine 3 crore people learning on a system and having an HR system attached to it. What power it can generate. We have Coursera's of the world, we have Udemy's of the world, we have Harvard's of the world, and we have Indian IIMs of the world and IITs of the world and all the institutions that we have in India putting their content on our platform.
Wow.
So isn't that the smartest way than just owning your own content?
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer that open gardens is the future. But in short term, entrepreneurs are competitive, so they will remain like that.
Yeah.
But you remember UPI when it started, many of the top banks and service providers refused to come on it. And today, see, can you imagine any bank or a service provider not coming on UPI? So we'll have to increase the pie. The human pie will increase if we stop thinking in boundaries. We think about humanity. That's the future, and that's what my bet is on.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love the construct of Caret Capital, which you co-founded, and the emphasis on mobility, jobs, and the supply chain part of things. I think it's a beautiful triangle that you've sort of built. I want to double click on the jobs part a bit, on how you're looking at this whole. How do you see the nature of the very word job would change or evolve, especially with a lot of newer generation coming into play? And how do you think India will respond to this whole piece? Will we adopt from West, or we will create our own version of what a job means in India?
So there are many questions in the question that you asked, but let me start the first part, that what this job conundrum will look like. So from a fund perspective, we ended up investing in companies like Unstock, which is in job arena, in TrackCheck, which is giving identity solutions, in Sunstone, which is doing a mass MBA. So everything we did. But what it taught me two things. That the traditional degree system is going away.
Yeah.
Right? I am Ahmedabad, I come from Lucknow, I'm from MD, I am from XLRI. Doesn't matter. It's enough, right? So people are moving to something that what you hold. So I'll give you a real example. My son, he passed out from Singapore Management University and in economics honors, non-techie, built a company called ERA, which was in agentic space for NGOs to raise capital. And then he found that it's hard to raise capital in this field, more than capital, to generate revenue.
Yeah.
But he said he got 2 interview calls. So he decided to work in a company. One large consulting house in India, great money. But they didn't ask a single question on ERA. And they asked his pedigree. They liked him. They said, okay, we are. So he said, Papa, I got an offer of great money because of Singapore Management University and my pedigree. Not because of what I have done. He got another offer from which he joined called Lambda Test. Lambda Test is in AI testing space. Okay. Now, why I'm giving example? They didn't ask him about his qualifications. They spent 1 hour, 3 interviews, only talking of how he built this agentic solution. What were the pitfalls? What were the right? And they made him an offer as a product manager.
Wow.
Can you imagine one of the top tier company in AI testing globally is hiring a product manager who's a non-techie? Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Because they are not worried what engineering you've done. They just want to know what skill you understand, what value you can add. So this is real. No one will throw money for no reason.
Yeah.
People are very clear. This differentiation between engineers, non-engineers, premier institutes, not so premier institute is going to go away.
Yeah.
You can build an agentic solution in 40,000 rupees with the latency less than 100 milliseconds.
Wow.
Which means the way you and I are talking, the agentic solution will talk like that in any language.
Yeah.
So is it shorter than magic? No. So therefore, the new avatar of jobs is not going to have qualifications basis that. So the new education system promoted by India government, NEP, and the degrees going away like Masters Union is the new way, like Sunstone. They all are saying we are going to give you the skill that you need to survive in future. What you've done so far, we can clap for it. We can say it was great performance, but that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Your skill is the passport to future. And that passport we are giving you, how well you do it, is your visa. So that's the new world on the education side. Coming to who will lead this, I have a very, very strong opinion that innovation is still happening in the West. We cannot deny.
Yeah.
AI race, US is far ahead. China is catching up. We have a journey to cover. So that will come from there. But the work rules, the work definition, India will play a key role. With Nandan, we are trying to build honest, open network for employment and skills. And this network is going to be like ONDC platform, where we'll open up everything. We'll get all the job partners to come in here, all the corporations to come here, so that there are no monopolies, no legacies existing in jobs, and we democratize jobs. So Bharat will stand for democratizing every piece. At least today's government, if you keep the politics aside, one thing that I love about the government is that they are trying to democratize every element.
Yeah.
Be it the religion, it is no more you just been to Kumbh. It's democratized.
Yes.
Right? Look at financial systems, democratized and secure. Look at jobs being democratized and secure. Look at identity, Aadhaar, democratized and secure. So this whole thinking of democratization and yet keeping it secure is the future which India will lead. I'm very, very sure about it.
Wow. And I think that just opens up a new window for the entire world view, not just an India view, but there are a lot of things that we need to fix in-house as well to take that view.
Of course.
But I think we are we're poisely positioned to sort of take that view, and it can't just be a West view of how the world is going to look at. From a skill standpoint, there's a lot happening, but one thing is on skills, Pankaj, is, skills can't be categorized in a single thread. Some are extremely complex and some are as basic as, let's say, knowing Word, Excel, PowerPoint. The challenge that's happening that I see is, all of them are clubbed under just one skills tag, and then, there are like hundreds of them. How do you even differentiate and treat them differently?
So let me just break this skill dichotomy. Right. So first, let me go back to our old company VBox, which is now part of ETS. So its study said 2014, the India's employability score was 32%. I think the last study was 54%. So it means the average IQ adaptation is increasing in India. That's the reality. We cannot get away with that, which is a great thing, great news. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. There is a lot to be done. But let's understand skill in a holistic perspective. Now, which skill you need is complex. Any coding you require need not be done. Most of the non-engineers are doing coding, right? Most of the product managers are non-engineers. So why will be anything complex unless you are doing something in medical field or nuclear science? But even that over a period of time with quantum physics is going to get democratized. So what is skill? So for me, skill has two big components. If you are insecure, you will not learn. Okay, and let me explain on it. When you're insecure, you're working like a student who's hiding while writing the test paper. Right? It's that mindset. I will not let go of my job. I will keep holding on to what I have. But what you have is going to be redundant in 6 months, not even 6 years. So why this insecurity is happening? When this insecurity is happening, I don't have the courage to do new things. You remember that Tarzan in the movies? He used to jump from one tree to another holding one branch. You cannot catch the next branch if you don't leave the previous one. Right? So this insecurity is going to diminish and courage is going to take over. So for me, courage is a skill. People might say, if you have that skill, what you need to do is 50% of work you're doing should not be done by you. 50%. You can be a homemaker, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a clerk, you can be a driver. 50% of your work should be done with the help of AI or an agentic solution. That's the reality we can't get away with. That will happen only if you have courage. So your qualification is not a problem. So that's one big bucket called courage. And remember, the base was insecurity. You have to get over and do that. Second is compassion. And again, people say compassion is not a skill, it's a value, it's a behavior, etc., etc. Let me explain compassion. Compassion is where you think of the company you're working on. You think of the family you're responsible for. And then you think of the country you're responsible for. And then you say, okay, because of these things should work. And they're not going to harm people that I'm working with. And if they're not going to harm, I'm not going to join the darker side of the AI world, which is going to become very prevalent. So if I operate in that compassion and courage zone, it will force me to learn new things and I'll remain fresh.
Let's say in the industry of HR, and I have been talking quite a lot on this, that there have been huge legacy platforms who've invested billions of dollars in building platforms. People are consuming technology in the flow of work. So either they're consuming on WhatsApp or on Microsoft Teams or Slack or some of the other communication channels. Then all the billions of dollars that have gone into UI and UX and making things look pretty don't stand any chance, because at the end of it, you need a system of record and a database who's going to process things. Rest of the stuff agents are going to do. So if my agent is going to get plugged into my interface that's not even the platform, then there is a whole new era of tech that needs to be built, and a lot of redundancy needs to go. Is that a thought process that you feel is going to happen?
Yeah. So for the first time, habits will define what system I'll use.
Yeah.
It means that if I like using X system and Y, it can be a WhatsApp or anything, I would like my technology to work according to this.
Yes.
So the next 5 years or 3 years of HR tech will be understanding the human behaviors and designing technologies basis those systems.
Yes.
UI, UX are a passe, ease will take over.
Yes.
Ease, interoperability and APIs is the future, not the traditional HR tech.
Yeah.
And I'm not referring to traditional companies, I'm talking to the new age companies.
Yeah.
The advantage that they have, let me tell you, because they have 2 million users, 3 million users, 5 million users, they have a revenue of 200, 400, 500 crores. That will help them having an added advantage over the new startups that are coming in.
Yeah.
They can't ignore the startups, but they have an advantage because customers have deployed their systems. So if they move fast enough and in an agile fashion, they will remain leaders. Otherwise, they'll fall behind in the race.
Yeah.
So that's how the world is going to look like. Ease and habits are going to be defining the future of HR tech, not how sound a UI page you have built.
Yeah,
that's not going to be the future.
No, I agree. But that's also going to change huge valuations in the market as well. That's also going to change, because if I can plug in a system that can be done at $2 or $3 per month, why would I spend $40 on doing the same if my interface is going to be WhatsApp or Slack? These are some fundamental questions that organizations are soon going to ask.
So, Pushkar, if you look at it, the SaaS multiples are down to 5x.
Yes.
Right? 4 to 5x at best is what they are.
Yeah.
Broad range. There are exceptions both sides, lower and higher. But I'm saying in general, the market has settled down around 4 and 5x, which used to be 10x.
Yes.
But the AI agentic solution are still trading at 10x.
Yes.
So if you have to jump out of SaaS and become an agentic solution, you will still command a premium valuation. So I think it's an opportunity for people to go back to the 10x days.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only way you can proceed further. Coming to customer pricing. So customer pricing is in 3 buckets. One bucket is in US and India. You can look at a 1:5 ratio. Therefore, in India, you're getting $1, you can get $10 in US. If you look at India vis-a-vis Middle East and other sides, it can be 1:3. Right? So once you know this principle norm, that this is how my price points will move, after that you can define your price points. Again, customer should see value and say, okay, I'm ready to play because your agentic solution really saves massive value, creates massive value for my workforce. So it is heading in that direction. None of us can deny that. We can continue like an ostrich and say, okay, it's not coming. It is coming. It is there.
Yeah.
For the first time, Pushkar, in our lives, we have somebody who's equal to us and competing with us and not a human.
Yeah.
Tell me, since you have read in the books, which power was equal to humans? Never. Whatever power we created was serving us. Even a bomb, even a technology was serving us. Even an arm was serving us. It's the first time we have somebody who's stronger and smarter than us. And we have got to compete. In a professor scenario, in a boards that I'm on, our founder was telling that he has 10 professors now to run a large institute. I said, why? And he showed me the tech.
Yeah.
And the tech was seeing all the 40 kids in the class and telling, hey, kid number 37, seems you're not feeling well. Should I take a break? Now, no teacher or a prof can do that level of individualization and yet conduct a smart class.
Wow.
So the traditional jobs are going to go away. The traditional work processes are going to go away. The traditional way of selling and price points are going to go away. The new world will emerge. We as humans will figure out a way, but not easy.
Not easy. No, it's going to be very hard. But since I have you here, Pankaj, I'm oozing to get this question to you. How do you think the role of CHRO is going to evolve in this entire piece? We'll come to the CEO part as well. Because talent is at the center, the very nature of jobs is going to change. We have a new generation that's coming and, establishing themselves in the workforce. There's so much of agentic stuff coming in. How do you think the CHRO, on the preparedness side and their role evolving as well? How do you see it?
So I see the new CHRO role in 3 bullets.
Okay.
Bullet number 1 is the skill champion. He or she should fight with the CEOs, CXOs, business, and tell what jobs will remain, what will not remain. A lot of time in business pressures, the business leaders come and say, we want to hire these people. Yeah. CHRO should put a stop on it. They should know that within 1 year, these jobs will be redundant. Yeah. When you fire, you can't say my business head didn't plan. It's the HR's role. So they will be the skill champions. That's the bullet number 1. Bullet number 2, we have undermined the energy and consciousness subject for a long time. CHROs will have to put it on the table. The world we are going to witness is going to be very turbulent. If CHROs don't put energy and consciousness, leadership programs, trainings, awareness, accessing ancient Indian wisdom, we'll be foolish. And I'm talking in India context. Yeah. Right? It'll be foolish of us to continue to look at West. So that's the second aspect that I expect them to run. And third is, they've always been seen as a second rung to CIO when it comes to technology. I don't think so. They should allow or let go the people tech angle this time. Yeah. They need to pick up this people tech angle and they should say, this is going to impact the work life of my colleague, my employee, and this is what we want. I don't care what your global systems are saying. I'm not going to be the subservient. You better work along what my team wants, not the other way around. There are enough number of companies where employees have used Slack without the information of anyone else, right? So I'm saying it's just one perfect example that there's a lot to happen. So I see CHROs emerging with these 3 roles.
Yeah. And how do you see the role of CEO evolving as well? And as part of People Matters, it has been our constant battle over the years. It's almost like a mountain climb that how do we get more CEOs and CXOs as part of the talent conversation? And it is so critical. And yes, there are forward-looking CEOs who would sort of absolutely accept that and be part of that entire conversation trying to solve for things. But for a very large section of the community, it's still being sort of given away as a CHRO agenda and not the CEO's agenda. How do you think that role is going to also change?
So I'll tell you, I answer it in 2 parts.
Okay.
Right. First part is late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi said that strong states lead to a weak nation. And N.T. Ramarao next day declared and said that central government is a conceptual myth. So CEO has this problem. The leaders, the teams, the functions sometimes are not aligned and working with each other. Come what may, CEO has to break these boundaries of one function and another function because the boundaries are going to get smudged. So the big job agenda of a CEO, which is related to talent in some way, is break these boundaries. There is no center and there is no state. There's no department and there is no corporate. Smudge this corporate and departmental thinking, right? So that's one big part that CEOs can do, and probably they can do the best service to their companies by doing it. Second is, I go back to Nandan and Shankar, the guy who named Aadhaar, Ekstep CEO. I was talking to him and I was asking him a question and you said, Pankaj, we never thought here to future and we thought future and backwards. I said, explain me. He said, first time when we walked in, people made fun. They said, no one will do this country mein credit card nahi chal raha. You're talking of new UPI system.
Yeah.
And he said, so we drew the new UPI, how it will work, and we worked backwards. People made fun of us. They laughed at us. They fought with us. He said, and see what it is today. So I feel the new CEOs, the successful CEOs will design the future and work backwards.
Yeah. And how does the role of the board change in this entire? You sit on so many boards, Pankaj. You've nurtured so many of them. What's the true role of a board in this context now?
So let me give you one narrative to it. I will not name the companies. I call it the role of a board member is of Rajrishi. Right? It's going away, unfortunately, and it's becoming very compliant. So I don't sit on large company boards because I don't enjoy signing and just doing compliance meetings. Even in PeopleStrong, in Tag, wherever I'm sitting on the board and meeting starts, if it takes more than 30 minutes for compliance, I said, just done it. Let's talk business. So So one is that the compliance part is important, governance is important, but not the only agenda of the board.
Yeah.
So the most important agenda of Rajrishi will be where the founders, the top teams can come and talk to you of their problems. I sit on few boards where there are very large investors, but when founders are fighting amongst themselves, I get called in. Right? When there is a problem, some investors are not aligning with the agenda. Founders are struggling. My role comes into play. So I would urge and encourage board members to stop thinking of only numbers and growth. That's the CEO's job anyway will happen.
Yeah.
Your job is to make sure that you align the team. There are so many challenges that CEOs are afraid to even discuss with the boards. Yeah. But when they call me, I consider myself successful. On the boards where they don't call me, it means that I have a lot of work to do.
As a HR professional or a leader, if I want to become an entrepreneur, and many of them I interact with, they would come to People Matters, try and access knowledge. I personally work with so many of these founders on their go-to-market strategy, and also so many HR leaders would come and say, hey, I also have an entrepreneur urge in myself. What would be your message? You've traveled that journey. How would you want them to deal with that urge that they have inside?
So I think very clearly and crisply define what you want.
Okay.
Big problem is just by saying I want to be an entrepreneur doesn't help. Right? Entrepreneur in which field? Why? Why? Remember the question of why.
Yes.
What is that you lack? What is that you don't have? So start from that. Future, you define that future. This is what I want to become. These are the things I have. These are the things I don't have. You know, the Bhagavad Gita has a last verse which answers this question beautifully. It says, Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. It's chapter 18, 78 verse. Tatra Shirvajaya Bhutir Dhrava Nitir Matir Mama. Which means, wherever there is a mentor or a guide like yogis, Ishwar, like Krishna, whoever your Krishna is, find that. And wherever there is a skilled archer like Arjuna, there'll be success, there'll be opulence, there'll be morality, is my view.
Thank you so much, Pankaj,
Pleasure.
for always being so open, authentic, pouring your heart out in every conversation.
Thank you so much. When you see good, it's because of your own reflection. So you've done so well. May People Matters continue to breed this goodness all around. And thank you so much. I wish everyone great future ahead and love, a lot of love and namaste to everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Lovely to have you.
Same here.